Welcome to the EOD33 Wrestling Hub. I'm your host, the end of days 33. Tonight's episode, we're going to be reviewing the May 14th, 2025 episode of EVOLVE. And that's going to start right now. Okay, first match on the card is surprisingly, it starts off with Keanu Carver teaming up with Harlem Lewis against Gallus. It's going to be Mark Coffey and Joe Coffey. Wolfgang was there. Basically, Keanu Carver came out first. Harlem Lewis came out. They still don't trust each other. They made a tag team work a couple weeks ago. Then Wolfgang and Mark and Joe, they all came out. They just started brawling outside the ring. Stevie Turner came in, the Prime Minister, aka the GM, but she calls herself the Prime Minister. She came up, security came out, broke everybody apart, made Wolfgang go to the back, and told security, let them go, and just start the match and everything, because she really wanted them to have this match. And it was as hard-hitting as you would imagine a Gallus match is going to be. I still feel bad that they got released by the company, but they'll find their feet somewhere, whether it's in TNA, AEW. I haven't looked to find out what the rumors are, where they might end up, but I've always liked Gallus. And this was hard-hitting, crazy body slams, and just everybody's a big guy in this match. So you had Carver and Harlem Lewis could not get on the same page, blind tagging each other in, until at one point I said this was going to happen. Eventually I was right. I've been wrong. I was wrong before, but it broke down, and Harlem Lewis left that man high and dry. He left Keanu Carver high and dry. So Gallus ended up winning by pinfall, and that sets up something that happens later in the episode, but I'm going to just tell it to you now. Keanu Carver was hot. So finally, we're going to get Keanu Carver versus Harlem Lewis one-on-one next week on EVOLVE. So I'm thinking this might be the first time they ever actually taken a loss. So technically it was a tag match, but they did lose a match. But next week we're going to find out who's going to lose their undefeated streak. So, all right, on to the next match. Okay, before we get to the next match, basically what happened, we had a backstage segment, which I'm starting to like these backstage segments, starting to remind me of NXT a lot more. So we have Sean Legacy, who will be in the main event tonight against Alexis King. Basically went backstage and talked to Timothy Thatcher in the locker room, said that he wanted him in his corner. Timothy Thatcher's looking like Timothy Thatcher always do, just mad at the world. But he pretty much explained that, look, he wanted him in his corner because Lexis King, he's talking bad about the ID program and blah, blah, blah. So Timothy Thatcher actually looked like he wanted to fight Sean Legacy, but he said he'll do it. And Sean Legacy said, all right, thanks, and hit him on the chest, and Timothy Thatcher almost beat him up. He said, no, I'm sorry. So later on tonight, or later on in the episode, they're going to have Sean Legacy with Timothy Thatcher in his corner versus Alexis King, because of the whole thing with, it looked like a vanity project. They were getting cozy with Alexis King, so Sean Legacy was worried about them potentially interfering in the match. So that's why he wanted Timothy Thatcher in his corner to kind of neutralize them. And we know Timothy Thatcher already has a problem with the vanity project because they don't respect authority or tradition. So yeah, so that's what's going to happen. All right, now on to the first match. All right, my bad. Not on to the next match, because we had another backstage segment. We had Chewy interviewing a returning Idris from NXT. I didn't realize he's been hurt this entire time. He had like a labrum tear. So basically, him and Blade, they're not a tag team anymore. It's just him. He's solo dolo, but he's, I guess, exclusive to the Evolve brand. He was suited and booted. Talk about he had his eyes on the Evolve Championship at some point. So I don't know when he's going to be in action. Maybe it's next week. What's his last name? I know it's Idris is his first name. Idris with an E, not an I. Idris, I want to say Enoff. Idris Enoff. So yeah, I'm glad to see him back because he was always good. I actually like the tag team of him and Blade. They were good. So So I don't know where Blade's at. I'm assuming he's still on NXT because they did mention him by name and by face. But you know, WWE doesn't really have a problem doing that too much anymore. So hopefully he's still with the company. And let me see what happened. Okay, basically that was about it for that segment. I'm thinking of another segment that happened later on, but they just had the interview. He's basically just talking about his return back, and he's ready to rock and roll. All right, next match, I hope. All right, we are closing in. We are closing in on the next match. All right, this segment takes place right before the match. It actually sets up the match. We have Masyn Holiday and Chantel Monroe backstage. Masyn Holiday was talking about how good it is that Idris is back, you know, from injury and everything. And Chantel Monroe, who is let me make sure I'm saying it right, the reflection of perfection. So she's sitting in the back acting like she doesn't care, but Masyn Holiday is like basically, oh, she knows she cares. It's not the real you kind of deal. So I don't know, maybe there's something more going on with Chantel Monroe. But this is going to lead into the match between Masyn Holiday and Kelly Armstrong, which will happen next. Okay, it's happening next. I promise. Next match. Okay, as promised, we got the match. Kelly Armstrong comes out first. Looked like she had some new gear on. Looked like she had like actual wrestling ring gear on. Well, not that she never has wrestling ring gear on, but she kind of had like a yellow outfit this time. Normally she's kind of like in black. Masyn Holiday comes out, and I like the match, but clearly they're making Kelly Armstrong as the one to beat. So Masyn Holiday has some offense. I'm not sure if I haven't seen Masyn Holiday since like maybe the first couple episodes of Evolve. Like I haven't seen her in a while. But now they would see the roster. Now they can kind of sprinkle people back in. So it was a good match. Kelly Armstrong had her power. Masyn Holiday tried to neutralize her a couple times. She put on some good moves, but at the end of the day, Kelly Armstrong was just too powerful. So she ended up winning. And the story is not really the match itself. It's what happened after the match, because this set up. Because remember, we still have the Evolve Women's Championship that's going to be coming up, and it's a fatal four-way. And right now we have Kelly Armstrong, we have Kendal Grey, and we have Wendy Chu, but there's still one person that needs to be added. So we are introduced to the people that are potentially going to be that fourth person. So we have the real deal, Zayda Steel, come out talking to mad-ish because she's part of Vanity Project, talking about Kylie Armstrong is delusional. And she might be able to do all the flippity flips, and she's strong, but she doesn't have a brain like she does and everything. So that's why she's gonna win. Then the reflection of perfection, Chantel Monroe, came out and basically told them like, okay, you can't be called the reflection of perfection and not have a women's title. So that's why she thinks she's gonna get it. And then who else? Oh, Kylie Rae showed up and basically was saying that how she's gonna the thing that's going to bring a smile to her face is becoming an Evolve Women's Champion. They all start bickering. They all start fighting. And Kelly Armstrong gets him out the ring. But then Kendal Grey shows up to take out Kelly Armstrong because she did injure her leg last week. But I guess she's at 100% of record speed because she's got that metahuman genes, I guess. So I guess healing factor is one of her powers. And that pretty much sets up next week's matchup with Chantel Monroe, Kylie Rae, Zayda Steel to determine who's going to be the fourth person in. They gave it a name. I think it's like a last chance qualifier or something like that. Even though technically no one's really qualified, so maybe they're not calling that qualifier, but it's called like last chance something, or I don't know. I gotta check the name. Actually, you know what? Let's do that right now. Let me go check the name of it. I don't want to leave y'all hanging. I don't want to splice it back into the video. Okay, try to make sure the name of it. Oh, that's what it's called. It's not called Last Chance. It's called the Play-In Match. The Play-In Match. I knew it was something like basketball related. It's called the Play-In Match, where the winner of that gets to go into the Fatal 4-Way. That's what it is. Play-In Match. All right. Now, not next match, but next segment was. All right. Next segment was we have Stevie Turner backstage with pissed off Keanu Carver. Basically, like I said, Harlem Lewis left him high and dry. But I think what I forgot to mention is that Harlem Lewis attacked Keanu Carver in the middle of that match and before he left. So basically, that's what sets up the match for next week. Like I know I spoiled it earlier, but this was the backstage segment. He wanted Harlem Lewis, but Stevie Turner made it official. So like I said, next week, Keanu Carver versus Harlem Lewis for the first time. The match that everybody wanted to see. I don't know if this is going to impact the Fatal 4-Way for the men, because basically the only person in that match so far is Shawn Legacy for the title. The other 3 spots are vacant, and I don't know how they're going to pick the spots yet. So, all right. That's pretty much it for that. That's pretty much all that happened in that segment. So now we're going to go to the next match, which was set up last week. All right. Next match on the card is Javier Bernal versus It's Gal. This was set up last week when Javier Bernal was being interviewed by Chewy. He was talking about his new look and everything, and Gal kind of interrupted the interview. So basically, what I was saying was right. Javier Bernal, like I say, he's not known as Big Body Javi no more. He's got a new look. He's got new music, and he looked really good in this match against It's Gal. So they had their back and forth. Javier Bernal actually finally picked up his first Evolve win. But like I said, it's still bittersweet because, as we all know, he was released by the company about 2 weeks ago in the mass releases. But these are taped in advance. So we'll probably, I don't know how long in advance it was shipped. So we might still be seeing Javi on our TV for a long time. But this is a good match. And like I said, the whole gimmick change, the way they did the gimmick change was cool. It's like, oh, he kept losing and losing and losing. So he felt it was time for a change. The other thing that happened is, you know, that the commentators, Robert Stone and what's the guy's name from the radio station? But anyway, they are always having beef, but this was the time they kind of bonded because they both agreed that the way Javi changed his gimmick was kind of insane. Like he went to one concert and it changed his whole thing, and but that was good. Rosenberg. So that was kind of cool because they're always at each other's throats a little bit. So that was kind of cool. All right, on to the next thing. All right, next thing actually was the Kylie Rae Chewy interview, but I already talked about that earlier about how the how that leads into the play-in and everything. So what I'm going to talk about is the thing that happened after that, which is, and I'm not familiar because, like I said, there's a lot of wrestling on, and I haven't watched LFG yet. But basically, Troy Yearwood from LFG is signed with Evolve. So he's talking to the Prime Minister, Stevie Turner, and It's Gal shows up after that, talking about, because It's Gal basically beat down Javier Bernal after he had his match, after he lost his match. So he's bragging about, do you see what happened? And Yearwood was like, what, you mean how you took that L? And Gal was like, no, what he did to Javier Bernal and everything. And then he said something to the Prime Minister that was kind of disrespectful. So Yearwood kind of took up for her and everything. And I guess it's going to lead to something down the road. But yeah, Stevie Turner was appreciative of it. And yeah, so we got Troy Yearwood. So I believe in LFG, the finals is happening this week. So whoever is left, I think there's only 2 men, 2 women that are left. Women were featured on NXT, this past week's NXT, and it's going to be at Madison Square Garden, the finals. And whoever wins will get an NXT contract. But like I say, once you're on a show like this, like a Tough Enough, you're going to get signed. You might not be like the marquee person that, we got the contract, but they always keep people and everything. That's where you see a lot of the favorite wrestlers at now. They were like on a Tough Enough, didn't win, but still got signed. So, all right, that's it for that. So now we're going to be on to the main event, which was the main event of the evening was Shawn Legacy, Super Shawn Legacy, with Timothy Thatcher in his corner against Alexis King. And this was a really good main event. I've seen it's funny because they always talk about Harlem Lewis and Keanu Carver as the guys that was probably going to be the champion. Even me, I've done it because of the way the storyline plays out. But Super Sean Legacy is looked like he's poised to actually be the first ever Evolve male champion. He's got everything. And him and Lexis King had a really, really good match. A lot of back and forth. They're really showcasing Legacy a lot, and I like it and everything. But his prediction came true. Vanity Project came out there to interfere in the match. Timothy Thatcher was able to stop them, but Sean Legacy got distracted by the Vanity Project. So he tries to take them out, and then when he gets back into the ring, that's when Alexis King takes him out, and he ends up winning by pinfall, which is no surprise because it's like the way the hierarchy goes. It's like you got the WWE main roster, which is Raw and SmackDown. Then you have NXT. Then you have Evolve. So an NXT superstar should be able to beat an Evolve superstar. That's what happened now. And plus, it gives him like a loss, so he's not undefeated because it's kind of hard to once you become undefeated for too long, then you book yourself into a corner. So it's like, okay, the man can lose. Lexis King looked really, really good. I'm glad he was even on the show. Oh, I did miss one thing from earlier. Well, we'll talk about this right now. We have Vanity Project. Timmy Thatcher is all hot and everything. Vanity Project is still on the ramp and everything. So I'm guessing at some point we're going to have Timmy Thatcher have to take one of the members of, one of the other members of Vanity Project because he already fought one of them. And that's how this whole beef kind of started to begin with. Then something happens backstage, and I want to say it was Brinkley Reese. Someone attacked her backstage. We don't know how. We don't know who it was. She was just like laying down, grabbing her arm, and that's how the show went off the air. The thing I did forget to mention was that I want to say Nakia Lyons was on the show very briefly, and Stevie Turner said, "Oh, like she's welcome, like for like the championship and everything." Nakia Lyons, like she's welcome back at any time. Nakia Lyons says, "Now call her back once they have a champion." So I'm guessing she was no parts of some type of fatal four-way, but a future one-on-one match. So the Nakia Lyons will be back on Evolve at some point, not sure when. Overall, like I said, I grade Evolve on a curve, but it was really good. Like they're really, like I said, finding their footing and everything. Now it really feels like an NXT show. We got the backstage segments. I don't know what stuff is added to it because, like I said last week, it really felt like they added stuff after the tapings to the show. I'm still assuming maybe a lot of the backstage stuff might have been it. I'm not sure. I couldn't tell you. But like I said, I was supposed to research that, but I did not. But anyway, that's it for Evolve for this week. Hopefully I can edit this down to a good number, but a lot of stuff be happening on Evolve now. So like I was always trying to keep it around like 8 to 10 minutes, but last week the review got out of control. We only had 2 matches. I think the video was like 20 minutes long last week. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. I know this video came out a little bit later than normal because I was doing a podcast after Evolve and I got tired and I fell asleep. So I normally do this at night, Wednesday nights after Evolve, but yeah, I got tired, so I'm actually doing it Thursday morning. So yeah, just so you have some behind the scenes stuff going on. So that's what's going on with this video. That's why it's coming out a little bit later than normal instead of the normal 8 o'clock ish time Thursday morning. It's a little bit later on Thursday. But I'll see you all in the next video. Hope you all have a good day, good night, and a pleasant tomorrow. Make sure you stay kind to one another. Make sure you wash your hands. But like I always say, should have been doing all those things anyway. I am the End of Days 33. I'm out.